Thank you for trusting me to step into this role. I speak to you not only as a doctor, but as someone who has walked thousands of patients through the darkest corridors of a cancer diagnosis and watched them find their way back to light. My name is Dr. Yang, and for the past 20 years, I have sat beside beds in chemotherapy wards, held hands in recovery rooms, and looked into the eyes of people who have just heard the 3 words that change everything: you have cancer. Today, I want to talk about something that no scan can measure, no biopsy can reveal, and no surgeon can cut away. I want to talk about the emotional and social impact of this disease, because cancer does not only live in your tissues. It lives in your mind, in your relationships, in the way you see yourself in the mirror, and in the way the world looks at you. And if we do not address that, we have only treated half the illness. Let me begin with a truth that may be difficult to hear. The moment you are diagnosed, you enter a new country. You did not pack a suitcase for this journey. You did not choose the climate or the language. Suddenly, you are surrounded by words like metastasis, remission, neutrophil counts, and portacaths. But the harder adjustment is not medical. The harder adjustment is emotional. You will feel fear so deep it becomes a physical weight on your chest. You will feel anger at the randomness of it all. You will feel grief for the life you planned, for the body you trusted, for the future that once seemed so certain. And here is my first strong piece of advice: do not run from those feelings. Name them. Invite them in for tea, but do not let them move in permanently. The worst thing you can do is tell yourself that you must be positive all the time. That is not strength, that is suppression. Real courage is saying, I am terrified today, and I am still going to my treatment. Real courage is admitting, I hate this, and I am doing it anyway. So give yourself permission to cry in the car, to scream into a pillow, to tell your closest friend that you are not okay. Because pretending to be fine when you are not is a full-time job, and you are already working the hardest job of your life, which is staying alive. Now let us talk about the social impact, because this is where many patients feel most alone. Cancer changes your address book. It sounds cruel, but it is true. Some people you thought would be there forever will vanish. They will send a text and then go silent. They will say let me know if you need anything and then never answer your call. This happens for many reasons, none of which are your fault. Some people are terrified of their own mortality and your illness reminds them that they too are fragile. Some do not know what to say, so they say nothing. Some are simply not equipped to hold space for suffering. And you will feel abandoned. You will feel betrayed. But here is my second strong piece of advice: do not waste your precious, limited energy chasing after people who have shown you who they are. Let them go. Not with bitterness, but with clarity. Instead, look for the ones who show up. They might not be the ones you expected. It might be the neighbor you barely knew who leaves soup on your doorstep. It might be the coworker who quietly donates sick days. It might be the friend who says, I do not know what to say, but I am going to sit here with you while you throw up from chemotherapy. Those are your people. Hold them close. And if you find that your circle has shrunk to 2 or 3 people, know that a small circle of true presence is worth more than a stadium of fair weather supporters. The social impact also touches your family in ways that are deeply painful. Spouses become caregivers, and that role shift is jarring. Your husband or wife may suddenly have to help you bathe, drive you to every appointment, manage insurance calls, and hold the household together while you are in treatment. And here is a truth that is rarely spoken: both of you will feel resentment at times. You will resent needing help. They will resent the weight of responsibility. That does not mean your love is broken. It means you are human. So my advice is to have honest, small conversations daily. Say to your partner, I am angry at this disease, not at you. Say, I need you to hold me, but I also need you to take an hour for yourself. And if you have children, do not hide your illness from them in a misguided attempt to protect them. Children know when something is wrong, and their imaginations will always invent something worse than the truth. Tell them in simple, age-appropriate language. Tell them that you are getting strong medicine that might make you tired or lose your hair, but that you are being cared for by a team of doctors. And tell them that none of this is their fault. Kids often secretly believe they caused the cancer by misbehaving or wishing something bad. Reassure them explicitly. That is one of the most loving things you can do. Now let me address the loss of identity, because this is a wound that does not show up on any report. Cancer strips you of the roles that defined you. You may be a parent who can no longer drive your children to soccer practice. You may be a provider who can no longer work. You may be an athlete who can no longer run. You may be a lover who no longer feels desirable because of scars, a mastectomy, a colostomy bag, or dramatic weight changes. And society does not help. Society romanticizes the brave bald warrior, the inspirational cancer patient who smiles through it all. But you are not a symbol. You are not a lesson. You are a person who is allowed to feel ugly, weak, and useless on some days. So my third strong piece of advice is this: redefine what strength looks like for you today. Strength is not running a marathon. Strength is getting out of bed to brush your teeth. Strength is not being the life of the party. Strength is answering one text message from a friend. Strength is letting someone see you cry. And as for your body, I need you to hear me clearly. Your body is not your enemy. Your body is not betraying you. Your body is fighting every single second, marshaling immune cells, repairing damage, enduring treatments that are like poisons and miracles at the same time. Your body is a war zone and a temple. Treat it with respect, not hatred. Look at your scars and see them as maps of survival. Look at your changed shape and know that it is the shape of someone who is still here. I also want to speak about the isolation that comes from being in treatment for months or years. Friends stop visiting because they think you are tired. Coworkers forget to include you in lunch plans. Life goes on outside your window, and you are inside, watching from a hospital bed or a recliner with an 4-drip. The loneliness can be crushing. So here is an unusual piece of advice: create small rituals of connection. Every morning, text one person a simple emoji that means I am here. Have a standing video call with a friend every Tuesday at 2 p.m., even if you just sit in silence. Join an online support group where people speak your new language of port flushes and anxiety. And if you are able, get outside for 5 minutes a day. Sit in the sun. Watch a bird. Feel the wind. That is not a cure for loneliness, but it is a reminder that you are still part of this world, not separate from it. Now I want to talk about something that doctors rarely discuss, but I will because it matters. Your sex life and your intimate relationships will be affected. Cancer treatments can cause fatigue, pain, hormonal changes, and loss of libido. Radiation can cause vaginal stenosis or dryness. Chemotherapy can cause neuropathy that makes touch feel strange. Surgeries can change anatomy. And many patients feel that they are no longer desirable or that sex is now off the table forever. My advice is to be honest with your partner and with your medical team. There are pelvic floor physical therapists, sexual health counselors, lubricants, dilators, medications, and many strategies that can help. But more importantly, redefine intimacy. Intimacy is not only intercourse. Intimacy is holding hands. It is back rubs. It is lying close and whispering that you are still here. It is laughing together at the absurdity of trying to be romantic when you have a nausea patch behind your ear. Do not let cancer steal all forms of closeness from you. Fight for small touches every day. Let me now share a success story. Not the kind you see on posters where a person runs a marathon 1 year after diagnosis. A real one. Her name is Margaret. She came to me at 62 years old, diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. She was a retired schoolteacher, a widow, and she lived alone. When I told her the treatment plan would involve surgery, 18 weeks of chemotherapy, and then more surgery, she did not cry in my office. She just looked at the floor and said, "I have no one to drive me home after chemo." That sentence broke my heart. Because here was a woman not asking about survival statistics, but about the simple logistics of being alone with this disease. We connected her with a hospital volunteer driving service. But more importantly, we connected her with a support group for women with gynecologic cancers. The first week, she sat in the back and did not speak. The second week, she said one sentence about her cat. By the 8th week, she was laughing with another woman about the indignity of losing your eyebrows. Margaret finished her treatments. She went into remission. But that is not the success. The success is what happened 6 months later. She started a knitting circle at the cancer center for patients who were actively in treatment. She said, "I was so lonely, and I never want anyone to feel that way again." Every Thursday, she brings her yarn, and she sits with people who are bald and tired and scared, and she teaches them to knit simple scarves. And she says to every new person who walks in, "I drove myself to chemo once, and now I have 40 friends." That is success. Not the absence of cancer, but the presence of connection despite it. Another story, a different kind. A young man named David, diagnosed with testicular cancer at 28. He was a firefighter, strong and proud. The treatment cured him, but it left him with infertility and neuropathy in his feet. He could no longer run into burning buildings. He fell into a deep depression. He stopped answering calls. His fiancée left him, not because she was cruel, but because he pushed her away so hard that she had no choice. David came to see me 2 years after his last treatment, not for cancer, but for despair. He said, "I am alive, but I am not living." And I said to him, "David, you are not the same man you were before cancer." And that is not a tragedy. That is a fact. The question is, who do you want to become now? He left my office angry. But he came back 3 months later. He had started volunteering at a burn unit, not as a firefighter, but as someone who simply sat with children who were scarred and in pain. He told me, "I understand what it is like to feel that your body has betrayed you. Those kids look at me and see someone who survived. I am not running into fires anymore. I am walking into hospital rooms. And that matters." Today, David is a certified child life specialist. He does not have the career he planned. He has a better one. One forged in the fire of his own suffering. So what do these stories teach us? They teach us that the emotional and social impact of cancer is not a side effect to be managed. It is the central battlefield. You can have the best oncologist, the most cutting-edge immunotherapy, the cleanest scans, but if you are isolated, ashamed, and emotionally shattered, you have not truly healed. Healing is not the same as cure. Cure means no evidence of disease. Healing means you have integrated this experience into your life in a way that allows you to find meaning, connection, and even joy again. And that is possible, even if your cancer is advanced, even if you are in palliative care, even if you know you will not live another 5 years. I have seen patients in hospice laugh at bad jokes, hold their grandchildren, and make peace with their lives. That is healing. And it is available to every single person in this room, regardless of your prognosis. Now let me give you my final, strongest pieces of advice. Number 1, build your medical team as if you are assembling a crew for a stormy sea. You need not only an oncologist, but a palliative care doctor who understands pain and symptom management, a therapist who specializes in oncology, a social worker who can help with financial and practical resources, and a nurse navigator who will answer your frantic calls at 10 p.m. Do not be shy about asking for these resources. They exist for you. Number 2, set boundaries like a fortress. You do not have to answer every well-meaning but exhausting phone call. You do not have to host visitors when you feel terrible. You do not have to explain your treatment choices to your cousin who read something on the internet. You can say, "I love you, but I cannot talk about this right now." You can say, "I am not taking advice from anyone except my doctors." You can turn off your phone. You can close the door. Protecting your energy is not rudeness. It is medicine. Number 3, find a way to express what you are feeling. Write in a journal. Paint. Sing badly. Make a collage. Record voice memos. The emotions of cancer are too big to stay inside. They will leak out as insomnia, as panic attacks, as rage at the grocery store cashier. Give them a healthy release valve. Number 4, ask for practical help with specific tasks. Do not say, I need help. People do not know what to do with that. Say, can you pick up my prescription on Tuesday? Can you mow my lawn on Saturday? Can you bring a frozen lasagna? Specific asks are kindnesses to your community because they allow people to help without guessing. And finally, number 5, find one thing every single day that is not about cancer. One thing. It could be a 5-minute phone call about a TV show. It could be looking at a photo of a vacation from 5 years ago. It could be feeding the birds. It could be listening to a song that made you dance in high school. That one thing is a lifeline. It reminds your brain that you are still a person with interests, memories, and pleasures that exist outside of diagnosis and treatment. I want to close with a truth that I have learned from 2 decades of practice. Cancer is a master teacher, but it is a brutal one. It teaches you who really loves you. It teaches you what you truly value. It teaches you that your time is not infinite. And many people, after surviving cancer, say that they would not go back to the person they were before. Not because they are grateful for the suffering, but because the suffering stripped away everything that was false. They stopped caring about the opinion of strangers. They stopped saving things for special occasions. They started saying I love you more often. They stopped procrastinating on their dreams. That is the strange, paradoxical gift of this disease. It does not give it to everyone. You have to reach out and take it. But it is there, underneath the fear and the fatigue and the loss. So here is my prescription for you today. Cry when you need to. Ask for what you need without apology. Let the fair weather friends go. Hold the real ones close. Redefine strength for yourself every single morning. Touch your body with gratitude, not disgust. And remember that you are not a diagnosis. You are not a scan result. You are not your hair or your weight or your ability to work. You are a human being, worthy of love and connection and joy, from this moment until your very last breath. I have sat with patients who died with more peace than some healthy people I know, because they learned what mattered. And I have sat with cured patients who were more miserable than ever, because they never addressed the emotional wreckage. Do not let that be you. Do the hard work of feeling your feelings. Do the brave work of reaching out when you are lonely. Do the revolutionary act of choosing to find meaning in the middle of the mess. You are not alone. You have never been alone. And you are so much stronger than you know, not because you never break, but because you keep putting yourself back together, one small piece at a time. Please like, share and subscribe for more such informative videos. Share with your friends. Thank you.